Hello, everybody. Okay, this is also to Mr. X or SegaLordX or something like that. And I am going to say this. This is a message to everybody, especially to SegaLordX. Okay, so I do have a crush with a popular YouTuber who loves Apple products and everything. All right, I hope people could subscribe. Please help me reach me 1,000 subscribers, 1 million, whatever. I'm doing this because this is what it is. I know what it is. Look, this is something that you telling this chick that if she was the CEO, or what if I'm the CEO of Apple, all right? Look, let me tell you about Sega, and I'm playing Sega in an Apple device, all right? And talking about Sega during the console years, and this is what it means. If I were the CEO of Apple, if I were the CEO of Apple, and then I have my beautiful wife, or the person to soon to be my wife, having along with me, and then with all this stuff, okay, I would have this thing along. I would just get the purchase of Sega. If I were the Apple CEO, get Sega, move their headquarters, because let me tell you the interesting story of Sega. Sega has started in Hawaii, all right? If Sega started in Hawaii, yeah, right? If Sega started in Hawaii, they started with pinball machines and gambling machines in there, and then it moved to Tokyo, Japan for the GIs and everything, and then evolves into video games. The best console was the Sega Genesis, all right? So put in that way, for over the years, Sega has been making, video games and to compete with Nintendo and stuff. And then like nowadays, you have like Microsoft, and they came out with Xbox. All right, as Xbox came around, now the question with Sega is, or to say, if I were the CEO, all right, so what would it be for this? If I were the CEO of Apple, I know what to do. All right, so I mean, like, let me tell you also quite a bit about Sega. Also, with the Dreamcast, the Dreamcast was the one of the consoles with internet access and everything ahead of its time, right? I mean, what happened with the Dreamcast? It became a flop after Sony came out with the DVD on their PlayStation 2, all right, or I don't know, PS3 game came with Blu-ray, right? So what's gonna happen is that sales tank, or anything like that, and in Apple's place, Apple back then team up with Bandai. Bandai came out with the Pippin. The Pippin was another flop, and from Apple, just like the Apple Pouch. I mean, it's too expensive. It became too expensive, and that's for Apple. And then Bandai and Apple, just ended with the Pippin. All right, they ended the Pippin, and the Pippin was discontinued. Right. So for Mr. SegaLordX, also for that, let me tell you what we'll do if I were the CEO of Apple. Okay, so I look for what it would be. I will just hire the people behind Sega. And then it's not just iPhones and everything, but Sega, bringing Sega back to the console business. Even though back then Microsoft used to work with Sega before, but before that, because the working with Sega, deal with that, take all the assets from Sega, move the Sega headquarters from Tokyo to Cupertino, California. And from there, I will make the next game console to see where to develop it if I were the CEO, and have my lovely wife in there, who is going to might be my wife. You know her, right? If I wish to her, because I have a crush on her and I read her book, to have plans for the next console, and and after all, this is gonna be a mess up thing. I always say that, as Microsoft had their Xbox, Sega should team up with Apple, or they'll say, once, like, put it first of all, when it's a Super Bowl commercial, once Sonic bites the apple, he becomes strong as Popeye. All right, that's just a metaphor. All right, that's just a Super Bowl commercial for Sega return to the console business. You have Sonic the Hedgehog biting into an apple, and he gets strong and buffed. Beating up Doctor Robotnik or something like that. In that way, and it is simple like that. If I were the CEO of Apple, so this would be me. Okay, I just come in here. Okay, I'm the CEO of Sega. I am the CEO of Apple, but now but also Sega. Okay, I got Sega with the new. I'm gonna hire all the team from Sega and everything like that. And one thing for all, if I was the CEO of Apple and buy Sega, I will put Sega back into the console business, and instead of throwing the towel. That's what I do if I were the CEO of Apple. I will acquire Sega, make Sega into the greatest video game company of all time, and then have a commercial that whatever the next console of Sega would be, but they do it on Microsoft. Remember that? Remember Microsoft versus Apple? You can't do this on the bleep box, all right? Because I cannot say the word, you know, on the TV, That's the commercial, you know. And then this is where I have commodities. Okay, this is Justine is there behind there what she would plan to name the console, and that's what I do if I were the CEO of Apple. I could get Sega move their headquarters from Tokyo, Japan to Cupertino, California. That's what I do, SegaLordX, if I were the CEO of Apple. All right, so goodbye, peace out. That is all, folks. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Embargo Man. I hope that my dreams to, reach not just 1,000 subscribers, but 1 million subscribers with there to meet my other half on my life as a YouTuber. Goodbye, everybody.